Our next speaker will be talking about a subject so close to my heart that the only word I can say is nostalgia. Nostalgia is probably the emotion that I'm feeling right now in anticipation of the topic career change. Who of you has considered a career change or had one? Yep. I had the pleasure of meeting Susanna for the first time to create vision boards whilst munching on pizza. Does anyone know what a vision board is? Yeah? Has anyone created one? Have they come to life? Have they come to pass? Just like what Asma said just now, her bucket list. A bucket list is important, just as is a vision board, because surprisingly, they do come to life. Susanna Ingalls is the co-founder of Urban Point, the only Qatari company featured in Al Jazeera's entrepreneurship series for 2018. She runs regularly and sings at Qatar Philharmonic Orchestra and practices photography. Please welcome Susanna to the stage.
Thank you, Gianrico and Weston, for hosting us today. And thank you, of course, to the organizing team for all your hard work. I got a message at 1 a.m. from Conchita saying, yeah, we're still finalizing everything. So I'm sure you guys have done great. Looks fantastic. So I'm Susanna, co-founder of Urban Point, and I'm here today to share with you my philosophy on changing careers as someone who's done it 4 times in the last 10 years. So first, I want you to imagine something. I want you to imagine 2 times in your life. First, think back to when you were a child and what you dreamed of achieving or becoming and why that was important to you. Not some lofty idea, but what you really wanted to do and why. Now, do you think what you're doing right now is in line with that? So just take a moment to think about that. Now imagine you're 85 and you're looking back on your career. Would you say what you're doing right now is what is going to make you feel fulfilled when you're looking back at an older age? So I just want you to take a moment and think about that. Now, do you think for most people that these 3 things connect? That what you wanted to do as a child is what you're doing today, and what you're doing today is going to make you feel fulfilled at an older age. And this is not to say, your dreams can't change. Of course they can. But how many people would you say live a life according to their innermost desires? According to one study, 1 in 10 people say that choosing the wrong career is their biggest regret. Nearly 40% of employees hate their job, and yet only 14% of them are actively pursuing a career change. So why is that? What's holding so many of us back from living a fulfilled life? Now I have 3 messages I'd like to share with you today from my story. Firstly, what is it that excites you? Many people ask themselves the wrong questions, such as, what do I want? What do I want to do? Or what title do I want to have? And why do people ask what they want? Well, obviously it's to be happy, but happiness is a fleeting object to chase. And you can't just chase happiness, but what you can chase is excitement. You can seek to do the things that excite you on a daily basis. So many people are bored at their jobs or even loathe them, but the opposite of boredom isn't happiness. The opposite of boredom is excitement. So instead, the right question should be, what would excite me and why? Now, in terms of the why does something excite you, this is getting now to the core parts of your character. If you don't know the core parts of your character, what I can recommend is this survey. It's called the Values in Action Character Strengths Profile, and it's recommended by the Harvard Business Review, and it's practiced regularly in the US military. And this will essentially give you insights into what makes you tick, what really makes you excited, and then this can also give you some direction in terms of where you want to go. I wasn't paid to say this, by the way. I actually took this survey and found it extremely helpful in understanding what excites me. So it's funny, when I was younger, or at least until about a young adult, I was confused by what my father always used to say, which was that life is not about being happy. And I said, of course it's about being happy. How can you say that? That doesn't make any sense. But actually, now I've come to agree with him on that. That life is more about growth and building your character in the face of adversity. So, if you chase what excites you over just happiness or comfort, you will have more chances to develop your character because you'll be a passionate player in your life's game rather than a mere spectator. Now let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am from Baltimore, Maryland, and my life story has been entirely different from anyone in my hometown, most of whom are still in the hometown I grew up in. I've created the opportunity to live in Australia, Argentina, Germany, France, Spain, and now Qatar. And I've traveled to 39 countries. So in college, I was always unsatisfied with the idea of just staying in the United States because I knew there was so much more to explore beyond my home country. And at the time, Europe really excited me. So in my third year of college, I asked a professor, I said, hey, I really want to work in Europe. Do you know anyone over there where I can, get an internship? And he connected me with the Frankfurt office of PricewaterhouseCoopers in Germany. And that landed me an internship, and that internship landed me a full-time position after college. So how many of you remember the financial crisis 10 years ago? I think everybody, right? So guess what? I get my first full-time job in Germany in English in the financial services division of PricewaterhouseCoopers. And all of our jobs were for the banks and the insurance companies in the country. And then the financial crisis hits. And suddenly, all of our work is in German. So then I find myself in a position where I don't know the working language, I'm in a new country, I'm in a new culture, I'm the youngest person in the division by 4 years with 0 work experience, and I know no one. So as scary as it was, I kept at it because the challenge was exciting. And as a result, the challenge gave me a wealth of knowledge and experience that have shaped my character and made me who I am today. So in my second consulting firm, after some time, I noticed that our company didn't have something that it needed. There was no one doing it, which was knowledge management and training. So I approached the CEO and I said, we don't have anyone doing this. We need it desperately for our sales teams and everything, and I'd like to do it. And guess what? He said, sure, go ahead. And so I basically, so here I was in a sort of dream job in Paris, overseeing all the European offices, practicing my Spanish, German, and French, and that really created a problem for me because I finally had this dream job, which I loved and was great at, but at the same time, I wanted a new growth curve, and I was afraid that I was just going to stay as I was. So despite my comfort, I decided to go back to school and do an MBA. And in the MBA, we were basically pre-assigned to work in working groups for the last 3 months of the program on a full-time consulting project. And I, just came from consulting, so I asked program management, and I asked my group if I could peel off and do a business plan with another student. And they said, okay. So they granted my approval. And then once the MBA finished, I thought we had a really good business plan. So I reached out to program management, and I asked them if they knew anyone in Qatar, because that's the market we had decided for the business plan. And it turns out they said, actually, there is someone in the next incoming class. His name is Ali, and he's from Qatar. Why don't you share it with him? So I shared the business plan with him, and after he read it, he said, this is fantastic. I know just the person to invest. He's the CEO of an energy company, he's a PhD, he's a brilliant businessman, and he happens to be my father. So he connected us. We met in Heidelberg, and the rest is history. But the thing is, I had an offer in Paris from my former employer at a much higher salary, but I chose Qatar because I knew this is where the learning was going to be. This is where the growth curve was be. So I came to Qatar and launched Urban Point with my fellow classmate and now husband, Saif. And the second learning I would like to share with you today, and from why I told you all this, is basically that action leads to possibilities, and those possibilities lead to results. So my first job was a result of just asking a professor if he knew anyone. One of my career changes was, asking the CEO if I could do something different. The MBA business plan was the result of asking program management in my group if I could peel off and do something different, or do a business plan. And then finding investment was simply reaching out into my network and seeing if there was anyone who might be interested. So this philosophy keeps me taking actions and creating opportunities that have completely changed the course of my life. And I didn't always get the results I wanted because the results are never guaranteed. But at least the action opened the door of possibility, and then that possibility led to new experiences. And all of those actions that I did take were geared towards something that was challenging, something that was unknown, something that excited me, and that would enable my continued learning and growth. So in this way, I wasn't just sitting on the sidelines, kind of letting other people dictate the flow of my life, but I was proactive. So be very open and proactive about taking actions in your life, because if you don't take the action, you don't create the possibility for change. So let's say life is a football game. Are you on the field, controlling the direction of the game? Or are you on the sidelines as a spectator just reacting to the events? So many people are watching their life from the sidelines, and so many people let other people define their life path instead of shaping their own. So what does it mean to be active and to take control of what we want rather than letting time pass and just floating along with the status quo? Well, one mistake that a lot of people make is that they choose that, so they're unhappy. So they're unhappy with their current situation, and they choose unhappiness over uncertainty because they're afraid of uncertainty. I think we've all done that at some point. But uncertainty, I'm trying to switch. Uncertainty, the PowerPoint's not working at the moment. Anyway, uncertainty is where the magic happens. It's where the growth happens. There you go. I'm sure you've seen this before. It's where we can reinvent ourselves and get to know our limits and develop new skills and open new doors. So my third piece of advice for you all today, that instead of being most afraid of uncertainty, be most afraid of staying as you are, especially if you're bored or unhappy. I think no one in this room wants to stay in a rotten position, and no one wants to stay exactly as they are. So just ask yourself, is what I'm doing today something I'm excited about? And that enables my growth. Because the more excited you are, by the way, the greater the growth curve, because you'll pour more energy into whatever it is that you're doing. People are afraid of uncertainty because they don't like to take risks. And I think as women, we are more risk adverse than our male counterparts. But have you ever heard that the biggest risk is not taking one at all? Because if you don't try something new or different that's in line with your deepest desires, then you'll be stuck where you are doing something that you're completely not thrilled about. So given that I've just said all this, when you're 85, what would you tell yourself right now? Okay, just take a moment to think about it. So after a number of years in the corporate world, I decided to do something of my own, and I decided to be an entrepreneur in a country that I had never visited, in a region I had never visited, and in a culture that was completely alien to me. And I just want you to think of three things. There are things you know, there are things you know you don't know, and then there are things you don't even know you don't know. So for me, coming to the Middle East was pursuing what I call the pursuit of ignorance, And I didn't know, and pursuing what I didn't know. So the more you pursue what you don't know, the greater the growth curve. And my learning in the last 3 years has been beyond what I could have imagined just because of that. And someone say I was courageous, to come here from a comfortable Parisian lifestyle, but it was actually the excitement, of course, tied with the fear of staying just as I was, and the fear of, there was so much more out there that I didn't know that I could, that I had to learn, and also the fear of not developing my full potential because of just staying in one place. So I believe each and every one of us is in control of our own destinies. I also believe we're here to learn continually and to grow all aspects of our being. That we're here to stretch ourselves to achieve a deeper understanding of the world and ourselves, and to do that and have a fulfilling career, it's important, it's if not essential, to understand our own uniqueness, values, and experiences, and how they all come together to enable us to direct ourselves forward. So with Urban Point, because of this mentality, we won Mobile App of the Year Award in 2016. In 2017, the World Economic Forum selected us as one of the top startups out of the region. And then, as Elizabeth mentioned, in 2018, Al Jazeera did a full documentary on Urban Point, and we were the only Qatari feature for the year. So, back to the presentation. Just to summarize, the 3 points I'd like to leave you with today. First of all, find out what it is that excites you. Because excitement is a more practical synonym for happiness. And it's precisely what you should strive to chase. So what is it that excited you as a child? What is it that excites you today? And what is it that you think will excite you looking back when you're 85? Secondly, action leads to possibilities, and possibilities lead to results. So what small action could you take today, even at this forum, right, to basically change the trajectory of your life if that's what you want? You could start by taking also the 15 minutes free survey with again, it was called Values in Action survey, and that will help you get a better understanding of your traits. And third, don't choose unhappiness over uncertainty, and fear the most staying as you are, because the best way to expand your understanding of yourself and the world is to put yourself in foreign context and go big. Try another country, try a different career, take actionable steps towards it. But above all, do what excites you. Now, I had a quote from Nelson Mandela. He seems to be the theme today, but this is what I would leave you with. He said, "There is no passion to be found playing small, in settling for a life that is less than you are capable of living." So thank you so much, and have a lovely forum. Take that action today. Thanks.